Hi, welcome to Not So Aloney, the show where I, Aloney, hang out with a friend, and together we make stuff. This week is the finale. Season 1 is coming to an end. I've spent hours and hours and hours editing the finales of each version of the show. Testers and Jesters took a little bit longer than expected. It's going to be out at the same time as this one, so it's about a week late. Sorry. It's twice as long as a normal episode, and it has video, so sue me. But I almost burnt myself out editing all these together. Season 1 is finally ending, and I need a much-needed break. All of us do, and we need to also get a backlog. We'll probably be back in around 2 months, but this is the final table read for those 2 months at least. I'm definitely going to keep doing the show, of course. But this is the end of Season 1. So I thought it would be fun to take the original show I did that gave me the idea for all of these shows. I made a little audio play a long time ago using robot voices and stuff right when I started this show. And I recorded for, I think, 6 months all these different podcasts with friends, a bunch of different ones, trying to figure out what to do with the show. And I kind of settled on 4 specific shows that I would make every week, like one of each, and it would cycle like a month. And I like this variety stuff. I'm going to keep doing it this way. I know it's weird. I know a lot of people probably don't like it. It's not very marketable and SEO friendly, but I don't care. I enjoy every single one of these shows. They all do a different thing. Talking at No One allows me to write by myself and do incredibly insane challenges that no one would ever do. Like writing an entire musical or writing 12 video game movies in one sitting. Like crazy shit. 7 Questions allows me to sit down with Scott and write, and he never writes on his own, so getting him to write anything is a miracle. So the two of us write some really good stuff. Testers and Jesters allows me to test out the book I've been writing for years that has kind of gotten stagnant because it doesn't really feel like it's going anywhere. But now that I have a show to direct it, it really feels like all these little books in this massive universe I've been building are possible. And taking all of those things and putting them together is the best part, and that's why I love Table Read. I know nobody cares about this show. I know it's cringy and boring sometimes, but I think it is the best thing I make. It allows me to flex the muscles of writing, tell stories, and it does everything I love. It's got writing, it's got voice acting, it's got sound effects, sound design, it's got sound editing, it's even going to start having some, it has some transcription stuff going on now. It's the best thing I do. So I thought I'd go back to the original. Riggs and the Fallen. Enjoy. P.S. It's pretty bad. Watch out for the cringe.
Chapter 1, Riggs and the Fallen. It was an eerie, dark, stormy night in a far-off sea. 100-foot waves crashed and cold rain poured. It was the dead of night, foggy cold air and the sound of water echoed across the sea. A dark shadow appeared over the moon's reflection on the gloomy waters. A large merchant ship crashed through the waves. The top deck was empty. The lanterns were devoid of all light. A small torch illuminated this empty scene, held by a figure in a black robe, unidentifiable in the darkness. The figure was concealing its face and a small lantern beneath the cloak. The figure walked to the edge of the ship. Overlooking the mast to the waves crashing below. The hood of the robe was pushed back by the wind, revealing a young boy, a dragonborn. wide-eyed, excited by the large waves crashing against one another. His name was Riggs, a name given to him by his master. He was always sneaking around the ship at night, unable to sleep during storms. He watched the waves crash like a chaotic symphony. As he watched the waves crash, he noticed movement in the distance. The storm began to gain strength quickly, much quicker than usual. Lightning striking the surface of the water. Riggs began to run below deck to warn the others. As he began to scream, no sound escaped him. As he stepped, no sound. As he stomped, nothing. He found his master standing in the hall. He grabbed his arm to get his attention. The horror before Riggs' eyes would stay with him until the day he died. His master had no face. It vanished, removed by some unspeakable horror. Riggs ran back to the top deck. As he moved through the hall, he began to hear his footsteps again. The eerie silence was replaced with a loud screech that cannot be explained. A howl that you could feel vibrate in your bones. Riggs began to see the countless dead. Those he thought of as family. Rising from the dead. Slowly approaching him. With dead eyes. Water pouring out of every orifice. He reached the top deck, the lifeboat below him. But a shadowy figure rose from the edge of the deck, the dark waves behind it. Lightning struck the waves below, illuminating the monstrous creature before him. Inky black tentacles that glue white as the light hit them. Riggs raised his knife and stabbed the creature, falling off the edge of the ship into the water below. Riggs struggled to keep himself above the black water, fighting the beast swimming below him. He grabbed onto the rowboat suspended above him. With the last of his strength he pulled himself up. He rolled into the boat and began to cut the rope. A tentacle burrowed into his right arm as he tried to cut himself free. He bit into the end of the tentacle, severing its grasp from his arm. The rope cut and his boat fell into the water. His lantern fell into the ship and with a spark lit a bright red, incinerating a red light on the side of the ship. The creature began to eat through the edge of his small rowboat, turning this boat, now far from the ship, into just a raft, driftwood in a dark murky sea. The creature rose from the water, ready to strike. As it leapt toward him with murderous intent, a bolt of lightning from the heavens struck the creature at its center, pushing it back as it burst into flames. Riggs fell unconscious on the raft. As his eyes shut, he watched his ship, his home, the only home he ever knew, sink into the dark waters as it burned. Some time later, in the sun, laying on this raft in rags, a shadow covered his skin from the harsh light. He opened his eyes to see the sky, a bright blue and orange. As the harsh light blurred his vision, a shadow covered the sky. As his eyes focused, it was the mast of a ship, with sharp teeth, head of a black dragon. As he was terrified, he was pulled toward the sun, ready to die like the rest of his family had. A hand moved toward him and pulled him onto the deck. It was then that Riggs heard the calming words that would give him hope for a new home. "Welcome to the crew, boy. You're a pirate now."
Thank you so much for being one of the few people to actually listen all the way through this. I've been working on all these podcasts a lot, and I've decided to edit all of them into a better, more video-friendly form. I've been transcribing every single episode for weeks, and it's been draining me and destroying me and kind of burnt me out. In about a month or so, it should all be out. We'll see. It's a lot of work, and it's part of the reason why I needed to take a break on the podcast. But every single one of these episodes will now be transcribed with text on the bottom and the logo on YouTube, so you can check out the whole seasons, if you want, of each of these 4 shows, the whole first season. Table Read is especially good. It is way better with text, way clearer, and I can do a lot more, not visual gags, but I can tell, you can tell who's talking more, even when it's not obvious. So, I hope you had a good time. I had a blast. It's a trip down memory lane to listen to this old, cringy video I made so long ago. But if you liked this video, please like, subscribe, favorite, comment, give YouTube, Apple, and Spotify a reach around. Do all the things that make this show grow. I got a linktree if you want to check that out. It's got all my different stuff on it, my Twitch, my YouTube channels, my essays, all kinds of stuff, tons of stuff. And it's always going to be growing. I even have a bunch of short form content I want to work on as soon as I finish all the podcasts and all my old VODs. So, I hope you had a good time. I'll see you in a couple of months. Thanks for listening. Bye.